All right. My dear fellow listeners and viewers, good evening once again, and welcome to another edition of the Dr. Narine Dat Show. For those of you who have tuned into us in the past will know what we do here. Keep in mind that there are a few different ways to listen to us. You can listen to us on the regular dial, that's the radio, 102.7 CKMS FM. You can listen to us on Rogers digital cable, for those of you who have the Rogers digital box. And of course, we are also live streaming our interview here, so do take the opportunity to share a page. The whole purpose of the Dr. Narendra show is to create a safe space for positive energy and mutual respect. And as you would know, we are very selective when it comes to our guests. And so this evening, it is my honor to welcome and introduce to you a guest who we have had on our old show, Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat, a former lawyer, a good friend of mine, Alexander. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm good. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad that you are here. You made it here.
Thank
So
you very
we're
much for having me tonight.
not a problem, not a problem. So you're the only guest, and I know originally we had advertised that we are going to have former mayor of Cambridge joining us. He will not be joining us this evening, but he will be joining us in the future. So it is just you here. So what we are going to do, we are going to be mindful of your time, just like what we have been doing with other guests. Take a couple of minutes, or so, and introduce yourself, and then we are going to take it from there. Go ahead.
So I'm Alexander. I came to Canada 10 years ago with my family, and I'm a former lawyer with 20 years experience from Bulgaria. And I moved to Canada to build up the new life of my family. Now I'm currently working as community worker with homeless population. And I also have casual job with one more organization with similar work, helping vulnerable people. I like my job, and at the same time, I'm developing one project for helping vulnerable people with suitable legal information resources. I'm married with two children, 21 and 23. All of them are studying now. My wife and my daughter are studying in Wilfrid Laurier, and my son will join Conestoga College after 1 week. So this is me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So, obviously, I do have quite a few questions in regards to your new project, which I think is a really, really great project. We talked about this obviously before, but I think it would be nice for you to share some of that with our listeners and viewers and so forth. But I want you to take me back to your earlier journey when you first migrated to Canada. Obviously, you had a good professional job. You work as a lawyer for 20 years. You enjoy what you did. You've made a huge impact, obviously, in your home country, so to speak. Can you take me back to not necessarily early years, but when you migrated here to Canada, what was your journey like coming to a new country, right? The culture, is very different. Finding meaningful work, all of that. And the two of you have known each other for a long time. So I know lots of the bits and pieces and the challenges and the successes as well too. But I want you to, to speak, to our listeners and viewers so they can get a good sense, in terms of your journey migrating here to Canada.
Yeah, thank you, Narine. Yeah, I remember very well the first day in Canada. It was 25th July 2015. And we came to Canada with big excitement. It was new beginning for all of us, although my wife, who is Canadian, and she has very big family in Kitchener-Waterloo, has a lot of family connections with this region. But even for her was a new beginning because she was living overseas for almost 30 years. And it was really quite a journey for all of us. Even we separated at the airport because she was about to go for job interview, and I came to Waterloo with the children. So it was from the very beginning really very interesting, emotional journey. And then I waited 10 months for my permanent residency. And I didn't waste my time. I was volunteering for different social causes. I volunteered for my son's school. I volunteered for shelter for homeless men. I volunteered for seniors, for John Howard Society. And then when I got my documents, I started work as a worker in South Korean restaurant. So I was working for 1 year, 6 months part-time. And at the same time, I was studying online program for law clerk. So I went through the journey, which is a journey for many immigrants who are coming, thousands of immigrants who are coming every year in Canada and North America in general. So I'm happy to be in this community. I think we're living in one very diverse, very rich, very powerful community with a lot of very resourceful people, a lot of potential for growth. We know that Canada is very different compared to 10 years ago, that there were many changes, a lot of economical challenges, but it's my nature to be optimistic, to be positive, to uplift other people, to help other people. It is also my current job now to support people who are underprivileged and vulnerable. And at the same time, I'm trying to be a good father, a good husband, encouraging my children. I'm very happy that they have their direction in their life. My daughter is graduating in Wilfrid Laurier, hopefully in the end of this year. And my son, he was working a few years in the construction. Now he wants to become a certified carpenter. So he has career in the trades. And I'm very excited for them. And I'm really enjoying to be in our community, to explore the diversity of different backgrounds, different people, how all of them contribute for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. You know, I have to tell you, or I have to openly say one thing here. You've always been a very positive, individual. You're one of those individuals that never give up, right? You keep going. You see every challenge, as an opportunity. You keep moving, I know when you came back, you went back as well to Conestoga College and all of that, and you keep going, you keep moving. What would you say though? What was the biggest challenge for you? The biggest thing. I get it. Obviously, you'll face a lot of different challenges in between, particularly when it comes to, the job and the career and all of that. But what was the hardest thing for you, knowing that, you've made it move to come to Canada?
Yeah, I would say that I faced challenges similar to many other immigrants with specialized professions who immigrate to Canada, doctors, engineers, lawyers, people who had good life in their countries. They worked and they studied hard in their countries, and they came with degrees, with a lot of experience, with a lot of potential. But for different reasons, they face a lot of challenges because of the dynamic in the Canadian immigration and employment system. We all know that the country is facing challenges with the workforce, with shortage of labor, and at the same time, many people have hard time to find job. So I think now Canada is in very transitional period in terms of how to encourage immigrants to find employment in their traditional fields, and at the same time to help employers and work agencies to adjust their practices in order to support immigrants and to develop their skills, which they bring from their countries. We saw shortage of doctors a few years ago, how difficult it is for the country. Now we see shortage of different specialists. And I think these problems will continue until the society, especially the professional regulation authorities, change the way how they treat immigrants with master's degree and a lot of experience. And also, they have to acknowledge the value of the skills of these people and at the same time to create new opportunities for them. But also at the same time, even it's more important, I think it's on the immigrants, on us, to be present, to be active, to show our potential, to be visible in the communities, and to offer good solutions to the existing problems. I think it's a two-way solution for the employers and the job seekers. And I'm optimistic. I know that now the country had different changes in the immigration politics. We know that we, for example, accepted a lot of immigrants, then the policy was changed, but now we're going again to think for accepting more new people. So in long run, I believe that change in Canada is really will be always a good place to live, to encourage new people to come and to find the best solution for their professional careers. And in this way, they'll create a very conducive environment for families, for raising children, for personal growth. And I think really, as I said, we are living in one very good community, maybe one of the best in Canada, with the tradition of the Mennonite welcoming and inclusive policy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I know I asked about the challenge. What would you say are some of the good things you've experienced, from the time you migrate to Canada up to this point here? Obviously, um, I'm aware of some of the good pieces in terms of, the employment support and all those types of things, but I want to hear from you. What would you say were some of the things that you really admire and you hope that they kind of continue on so that other people, other immigrants, can benefit from?
Maybe one of the best things which I experienced was the openness, receptiveness of the local employers and the tradition of encouraging newcomers and immigrants to show their positive sides. And I outreach to many people, especially in the first years of my immigration when I was using different job search strategies. Often I talk to people who I don't know. It was not easy. And it took a lot of time to research different sectors of the economy, to research different organizations. But I was really inspired. I was encouraged that all of these people were very sympathetic. Of course, I had my motivation to prove myself, to show my best qualities. And I always faced sympathy. Of course, not everybody was interested to hear my story, which is completely normal, and to give me a chance. But I was prepared for this. I did my homework while I was in my home country. And I was really encouraged from the good results. Of course, there were setbacks, but I would say the welcoming, inclusive tradition of the local community was one of the best things. And also we have the reality of Kitchener-Waterloo with a lot of very good infrastructure, universities, colleges, very well-developed public transport, very good natural environment. These are very important in the safety of the community. These are things which are very attractive. But also, we know that we have challenges in the last years with unemployment, with different social problems, with substance use, with uncertain economy. But I'm really enjoying the way how the local businesses respond to these problems. They're very resilient and they show optimism that things will go again good in the right direction. It will take time, but I mean, this traditional resilience of the Canadian economy, of Canadian business, which is now in the period of change, is very empowering. But I know that there are many immigrants who have really hard time with adjusting here, but we have to uplift them, we have to help them, we have to encourage them to go forward and not to give up.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. You mentioned earlier that when you came here, you were prepared, to kind of battle and face those challenges. How did you prepare for that? It looks like you knew that there were going to be a lot of things that you will have to adjust to, but how did you prepare for it?
Yeah, so first, maybe to go back about the end of my professional career in Bulgaria, which really didn't go the way how I expected. I was really disappointed from the reality there. And in this way, I built up a lot of motivation, and I was really determined to find my new place in Canada. But I have to say that I am really privileged with my Canadian family. That my wife grew up in St. Clements. She has her extended family here and in Guelph, and I feel privileged. Not many people have this privilege to have
Yes, supportive.
family. It's really very important, very important. But I did a lot of research. I talked with different people,
Mm-hmm.
which was not easy because I had a lot of family arrangements. My wife spent some time in Canada while the children graduated school in Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
And I gained understanding about what to expect in Canada. And I'm happy that I was realistic, and I'm still realistic about the
Mm-hmm.
professional development, about the hidden barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the main point is to be able to talk with people who have been through the same way, people who experience immigration. This is one of the main resources, also social media, and also researching the job market,
Mm-hmm.
what can be found. Now we know social media gives really a big chance for everybody to gain valuable information about the immigration process.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So folks, who are watching or will be watching at some point, for some reason I'm not able to share in the areas I normally share, but I will be doing it at some point, even after the show. But I mean, there are people, keep coming into this country, and sometimes, the expectation is very different, right? In a sense that when they're in their home country, everything seems to be perfect and everything, seems to be kind of right there and you just go and you grab it. And it's not necessarily that way. There are challenges in terms of, getting job that fits with, your qualification, all those kinds of things. What advice do you have for folks, especially the younger people, right? People who are, maybe just kind of finish, college and university and they're thinking to kind of move out of their home country and they want to come to places like North America, including Canada and so forth. What advice do you have for them in terms of preparing for this whole new different challenge ahead? And I shouldn't say challenge only. I mean, lots of opportunities, but as you would know, you have to dig for it, right? It's not going to come to you like that. If you keep moving, you can achieve great things. But what advice do you have for folks who don't have the experience that you and I have?
Yeah, so first, they should have very realistic, honest assessment of their abilities, of their skills,
Mhm.
what to expect, to be very well prepared, to make very good research of the local communities where they want to immigrate, to explore local resources which can support them in the first month of immigration, to research very well the whole process of recognition of the professional degrees. If it's possible to establish contacts with Canadian employers and agencies who can support them. There are a lot of things which can be done, but the main thing is to create a mindset for a change, a profound change, that immigration is not a race, it's just marathon. It's slow process, it takes time, and to be able to um, know that there are many people who want to help them, but also they have to help themselves. And of course, to outreach, don't to be afraid to ask questions, to outreach to people. And of course, to identify their goals, to identify their potential careers which they can work, and if their families with children, to explore the available resources for kindergarten, for schools. Of course, all these elements are very important. This is really a big thing, making a change, immigrating to Canada is not just changing the country, even not just changing the language and the culture. This is changing of the mindset, changing the
Mindset.
way how you live, and always to keep the positive side that people who are coming, they have what to offer to the communities, and to know that there are people who appreciate their contribution. Of course, to be prepared for setbacks and to learn how to see the setbacks like opportunities for growth, not to be discouraged from them. It's also very important. But of course, not everybody is satisfied with the immigration in the country. And but it's again up to the availability of good preparation for coming here.
Absolutely, for sure. You know, you brought up something very interesting. You talk about, the importance of people changing their mindset. I think that's key, actually, because obviously different country, and as you mentioned, it's not only about the language, but it's the whole culture, and you're basically leaving everything behind, right?
Yeah.
You've built good networking, and the people in your village and township and so forth. You've built a different kind of relationship with folks, right? From early childhood, and you kind of left everything, right? You left all of that, and then you're coming to a new place. It's very different now. Earlier, you also mentioned that things have changed over the years, right? It's not the same it used to be 10 years ago because the demographic has changed, all of that, and that's a whole different a conversation there. But I have to agree with you. If you have the mindset of wanting the best for you, the opportunities, there are opportunities. But as you mentioned, it's a marathon, right? You have to kind of
But
keep going. It's not it's not like nobody will come and like get everything overnight and so forth. You have to have a plan in place. I think that's important. Have a plan in place, and utilize the resources you have at hand. I With my experience, I would say that it's fair to say that yes, we probably have limited resources depending on, on what you're looking for and what the situations are. But I think we have more resources now. When I came here to this country, I was not aware of all of the resources, that was available kind of thing. So I didn't really get to use all of those resources that were available, but I was motivated. I think that's what made the difference. That's the key, right? Yeah, so that's awesome, son. I really appreciate you, took the time to kind of share that. Speaking of motivation, though, I have to tell you this, like you are a very motivated individual. You know how to network. You know that it's not easy. What the unique thing about you is that I find that you have a good skill, a good skill set, not only to build relationship but to maintain relationship. Every now and then, you will still reach out to me and say, "Hello, how are things going with you? Do you want to go for coffee?" And it's such of a powerful thing, right? I find that you are not one of those that just kind of reach out when there's a particular need, right? Because that can also be a problem, right? So it is a good thing. So what motivates you? I guess that's what my question is. Like, what motivates you to kind of keep going? Because you have it. Because at the end of the day, you work. You do more than one job, but you love what you do. But the reality is, you are a husband as well too, and you're the father of two grown kids that grow really, really fast, right? What motivates you to kind of continue on and just wanting the best, not only for you, but the best for people, right? The best for people in the community.
so it's very important to remember that immigration requires to go out of the comfort zone. That if you want to succeed, you have to do really efforts to go above and beyond, which is not easy. But having this understanding really helps to create a vision for outreaching to people, how you can outreach people, how you start conversation, how you present yourself. I would like to mention one name. I really respect this person. He's
Mhm.
even two names.
Mhm. Sure.
One of them is Mr. Bill Scott.
Mhm.
I think he's business coach, and then I know him from Communitech. There was a group, networking group, peer to peer,
Mhm.
and he taught me how to network, how to approach people,
Mhm.
including some specifics of creating relationship, making the first phone call, the second phone call,
Mhm.
leaving voice messages. For example, um, having the opportunity to leave voice message to a specific person is
Mhm.
something really unique because usually people are very busy. You know that
Yeah, right, yeah.
people turn their voice mail, and then you have 1 minute to present yourself. 1 minute, this is a lot of time. This is
Mhm.
really a lot of time for 1 minute, but you have to be well prepared. You
Mhm.
can say about yourself.
Mhm.
And this is something which is valued in this culture.
Mhm.
Uh, so the other man is Mr. Greg Kay. He's also business coach consultant.
Mhm.
So both of them were very patient and they were very inspirational for me. Um, and it was not easy in the beginning how to outreach to people, but I was really encouraged from the results that people
Mhm.
were responding. Of course,
Mhm.
not all of them.
Not all of them, yeah.
They were responding positively, and they were giving me opportunities, which show me that they appreciate the courage. They appreciate that one immigrant is taking the initiative, take is brave enough to outreach them, moreover, to maintain the contact. So I created the understanding that we should never prejudge people,
Mhm.
people that maybe from outside we see a person who maybe will not be interested to hear us, but actually it's better to give a try and to see.
Mhm.
And I was really pleasantly surprised how there are so many people who are even there waiting for the person to make the initial contact. And this is some kind of mindset which can be applicable in different industries, not only in the legal industry, which is my traditional industry. It can be applicable in finances,
Mhm.
in retail, in many others. Uh, so I'm enjoying the richness of personalities, of characters, richness of different agencies which are available, and also of their mindset to accept new people, to find the right value which can be good for them, and to give chance for them for professional growth. And of
That's
course, different
mhm.
industries have different features, but it's really important to know that in Canada there are two pillars. One is the networking, and the second pillar is the volunteering. These are the pillars of the society, the foundation of the Canadian society.
Mhm.
And I would encourage every immigrant to practice them.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you earlier you mentioned about you yourself, you do a lot of volunteering and things of that sort. Um, how do you go about choosing, initiative or organization to lend your talent, but also in the process, I mean, you're gaining other things too in terms of, new connection and all of that. But how do you go about making a selection? Because there are lots of, non-profit organization within the region of Waterloo, for example.
Yeah, so it's very important to have a plan for
Mhm.
action, to identify the industry, to identify the potential agencies of interest. So slowly to narrow the search, then
Mhm.
to identify companies
Mhm.
and people who are working in these companies who eventually can be approached for uh, presenting to them. Um, and for me, of course, the main interest was the legal industry, and identified the professional lawyers community
Mhm.
in the city, and also the courthouse, people who are working in the courthouse. I was interested also in different other
Yeah.
industries in public administration, but
Mhm.
everything depends from your professional skills, your interests, and also to be open for learning new skills and trying different strategies for job search. And to remember that people here really, they give a chance to everybody. People give a chance. This is maybe the most valuable feature of our society, that people give a chance. And it's up to us to develop this chance, to try that you can, to show that you're useful, you can have contribution.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much. My dear fellow listeners and viewers, for those of you who have just tuned in, do know you're watching and listening to Dr. Narine Dat Show. Our guest here this evening is a former lawyer, Alexander. He attended, or he was part of our older show, Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. He's now back with us again, and he's basically taking the time to share his journey, coming to this country, Canada, that is, as an immigrant, right? And so he has lots to offer, not only based on his life experience, but his experience, both professionally and, living here in Canada as well too. He's a family man. He's a father, as you mentioned. He's passionate about giving back to the community and so forth. And speaking of that, though, I want to talk a little bit about your new initiative. You have a very unique initiative, and the beautiful thing about it is that you have the right mindset and skill as well too, right? As a former lawyer, it comes in extremely handy, to kind of manage and make sure that this new initiative of yours is successful. I will let you take it away and only share whatever is necessary or whatever you're comfortable sharing. But I think it's a really good initiative. It is needed. And what you are doing here, you're basically closing a very important gap. I'm very pleased about that. So take it away and kind of share with the listeners and viewers a little bit about that, and how they can reach you if they need any help as such.
Of course, yeah. Um, yeah, when I moved to Canada, and I did very extensive research of the legal industry, of the trends in the whole system of judiciary providing legal services. And I worked also in different lawyers' offices,
Mhm.
and I identified one existing problem about the access to justice.
Mhm.
As we know, Canada has changing demographic with growing population, growing diversity, and at the same time, we have growing inequality in the way how people have access to justice for many
Mhm.
reasons. So first, I have to say that Canada have really a very good tradition in providing quality legal services, with following the law, uh, being compliant, standing for the principles of the law, which is really great. And at the same time, the system is really not adjusted to the new reality. First, of changing demographic, changing population, and also of the considering the complexity of the social problems. So we know that we have problems with the homelessness,
Mhm.
serious problem with the homelessness. Waterloo region is with the fastest growing homeless community in Ontario, which is really something we have to think. We have problems with mental health. This is
Mhm.
really growing problem. People we can see, unfortunately, on the streets. These people. We have problems with substance use, also very serious problem.
Mhm.
And all of these factors are very powerful. They change the fabric of the society. Families are not able to help to support vulnerable people. Often we see disintegration of the family, especially young people. often can be kicked out from home for different reasons, and not only young people. So we have, on one side, existing legal system which is functioning for many years successfully, but we have growing complexity of the social relationships with more and more troubled people. And this is a vicious circle. When people become homeless, they start to take drugs, they develop mental health problems, and it's really difficult to get rid of this circle, vicious circle. And often people who have one problem being in this group, these people have second problem and third problem. So they have bundle of problems, which is really difficult to resolve. Plus the growing fee of the legal services, which is also an important factor. And also in general, what I see is lack of trust between the homeless community and the judicial system. Often people don't trust police. Often people don't want to outreach to police when they have problems, which shows that we have serious problems of crisis in the trust. And having said this, I identified the problem with access to justice as one crucial problem. And I did research on the community agencies who are dealing with similar problems, and I developed a concept for helping homeless population with legal information resources. So as we know, in Canada, only lawyers and paralegals can provide legal advice.
Yeah.
So the purpose of this project, its name is Community Legal Information Project, CLIP, is to connect people with legal information resources. And we will start in September. We'll be focused on helping the homeless community to be our main focus because they're the most vulnerable. I have to say that there are legal resources which exist and they help them. But for example, legal aid is helping, but there are a lot of, as we say often, the devil is in the details. The small details sometimes completely change the overall picture. For example, legal aid has threshold for, I think, $25,000 per year. So people who earn $26,000 per year, they're not eligible for legal aid. So you have to be really very poor person or to have zero income in order to get help from legal aid. So this is one very big problem. On the other side, legal technology advanced so much and create a huge information domain about the law, which gives opportunity to help the people to know about the law through verified sources. This is very important to emphasize. Verified.
True.
Truthful with verified information. And our project focused on one agency, Community Legal Education Ontario, CLEO. Community Legal Education Ontario has very long tradition of providing legal information materials, pamphlets, paper pamphlets, and also online resources. And we want to distribute and want to disseminate these materials to homeless people and everybody who needs this help. So we will start in September in 3 agencies. We will start in Supportive Housing Waterloo. We will start in Ray of Hope. And we will start in Social Development Center in St. John's Kitchen with potential for other spaces where we'll do our activities. We have a group of community members who are former lawyers from different countries. We have lawyer from Eritrea, a former lawyer from Brazil, and former lawyer from Nigeria. We will get training, and they will meet people who need legal information help, and they'll connect them with suitable legal resources. So the project is done under not-for-profit corporation Peace for All Canada, which received, and we are very grateful to Law Foundation of Ontario, which generously supported our project. And now we're working on the details with the team. And we're very excited. We will present the project this coming week on Wednesday in the Regional Council. We have delegation about the project. And we believe that the law should be open and the law should serve to the people. The law should serve to the people, especially to those of them who are the most vulnerable. And this is the essence from time immemorial of the law to generate justice. And we are really very pleased that in the process of preparation of this project, we met a lot of support from different agencies, from churches, from police officers, from lawyers, legal professionals. And we're really very happy and optimistic for the future of the project.
Yeah. So I mean, as you do the project, there will be lots of stumbling blocks in a way as well too, just like anything else. But I think it will also be an opportunity for you to continuously collect data, right? Because even that will kind of, prompt, some deeper conversation and whatnot. Because you mentioned something interesting about making sure you're reaching out to the right people and, distribute, hard copy information and so forth. That is good, but something that it can be a barrier in different ways. Because one of the things I found out recently is that which is a whole ball game, by the way. A lot of people cannot read as well, right? Because if they've been, if they are, let's say, homeless, and it's not like homeless people cannot read. That's not what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say here is that when people are trapped, into this mess, they don't get the opportunity to go to school and all that because, that whole cycle continues from generation to generation. Huh? It is a beautiful project, though, I can tell you that. It is very much needed, and I want you to know that I wish you nothing but the best with this. It's a shame that if you don't have lots of money, right, you cannot take a lawyer, right? Because as you would know, you they have a process where they kind of collect some money ahead of time. They call it the retainer money or what, something along that line, where you meet with them, for an hour or so. You pay a few $100 for the time. But if you want to move forward in terms of getting a lawyer to advocate for you, it's a few $1,000s just to get started. It is a long process as well too, and things of that sort. But people like yourself, people who know how it works and so forth, and have that extra knowledge, can also advocate for yourself because you do not, as you would know, nobody needs a lawyer to represent you. Like you can represent yourself. There are lots of advocate people like yourself and whatnot out there as well too. So this is great. I'm really looking forward to hear more, as to how it goes and so forth. But exciting, very, very exciting news. That's for sure. Because I'm aware that you've been working on this for a long time. I'm so glad that it's coming. It's coming to fruit now, so to speak, right? Where it's actually happening. And so hopefully, it hopefully makes an impact and hopefully continues for a long time because it is needed. That's for sure. That's awesome. So are you excited? And I guess that's fair to say that,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. This is a big challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased that in the process of advocating about this project, and I'm working 4 years on this project, I
Hmm.
met numerous people, and I met many lawyers, which is
Hmm.
really very encouraging, including
Hmm.
lawyers with big experience who admit the problem. They say, yes, we know the problem. We see that the country is changing, society is changing, the population is changing, the problems are changing, becoming more complex, and we want to help. And I have
Hmm.
a list of lawyers who are willing to give pro bono legal advice. Some of them 1 hour per month, some of them 2 hours per month, but they're happy to support these people. And also, the purpose of the project will be the first step of one bigger process of
Hmm.
creating debate in the society about access to justice. And we want to work about opening the law in terms of empowering and enabling community agencies, community workers to take more opportunities to provide legal help to people. We know that the way how traditional legal system functions with lawyer-client, it doesn't work now for many reasons. Yeah, for example, I tried to find this one example would be very symptomatic. I had one coworker who had the bad luck to have his leg amputated years ago, and now he wanted to have a court case. But it was very hard for me to find a lawyer who wants to take the case.
Take the case, yeah.
And I talked with, I think, 12 lawyers, and only the last one agreed to meet with him to consult him. But I mean, the system is designed in one very rigid way that it works well, but you have to follow the rules, the protocols, and to have the money on top of it. But this way does not consider the changes in the society, that there are more and more problems, they're more and more complex. We have the problem with the drugs. We have the problem with the racial bias. Often it's also a problem. So this is, I see, as a part of one huge change, and it's happening already in Canada and also in the United States. Change in the law in the whole world, that the law should protect the interests of the community members. Of course, businesses also will be protected, but we have to consider the interests of the individuals and the communities. They have guarantees which are protected by the law, but they have to have real tools how to implement their rights.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I mean, law, it's very broad. It's broad because law, I mean, so when you are like, so what is it that you hope for with this project? Like, are you more interested to, policies and whatnot that is related to, let's say, housing, for example? Or is it law in general? So if people, let's say, get stuck, let's say they get kicked out from their apartment or something of that sort. Are you hoping that the tenant can somehow get support if he or she or they were kind of kicked out, in a way where it was against the law kind of thing? Or is it like a law in general, meaning that even if somebody's facing some sort of, challenge, in the workplace, and let's say they get fired, and whatnot, are you hoping that all the extra resources can kind of help people along that line as well too?
Yeah, so first, the law in the way how it's structured is something really big. It's not only family, criminal
Yeah.
law, civil law. This is social justice. This
Yeah.
is racial equity, LGBT rights. This is also about mental health.
Yeah.
Well, this is maybe not the last thing. It's very important,
Mm-hmm.
which is really a huge area. And often the legal problems are intertwined with a lot of personal and social problems. We cannot make difference between them. We think that now it's time for a serious debate about the law, about the effect of the functioning of the existing system. For example, 80%, up to 80% in some rural areas of the parties in the court self-represent themselves in the family law cases, up to 80%, which means that they're without lawyers, they cannot defend their rights. Many parties in the court, they hired lawyer, but they run out of funds, which shows that the existing system is not functioning well, regardless of the numerous efforts. I know that many lawyers really dedicated thousands of hours in the last decades for the legal aid, for helping people pro bono hours. But the reality is that the situation is getting worse. It's getting much worse. And we can see even now with existing problems with the homeless community that there's a growing anger, growing despair of these people that somehow they are left behind. And maybe this is our first purpose, to show to these people they are supported. We want them to be left behind. And we want to create a relationship of trust with this community. And some of the team, members of our team, they have been working or volunteering for homeless people. And at the same time, we want to invoke the traditional Canadian values of democratic community involvement, of compassion, solidarity, about creating safer communities. So really we have one complex goal: to start and to initiate discussion, and then to work in this process to make evaluation of the results. And then I'm sure that there will be a lot of responses from different sides. So this project is now for 6 months, 1 month training, 4 months activities, and 1 month evaluation. And in the end, we'll want to share the results with all interested parties, including with member of parliament, member of provincial parliament. We will also have very positive response from Family Law Information Center in the courthouse. They're interested to help us with information materials. We want to talk with the managers in the courthouse, but this is in the future.
Yeah, of course.
But we want to show that, I would say, I want to cite the former Attorney General of Ontario, Mr. Chris Bentley, who is now president of Legal Innovation Zone, which is advocating for opening the justice. He says, open the law and let the people decide.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. And so while you were, trying to put things together, obviously you had the opportunity to talk to people. You mentioned you met with, different lawyers and all of that. Did you also met with the homeless people as well too, just to hear what are some of their concerns? I'm assuming you've done that too, right?
Yeah, of course. And yeah, there is a lot of emotion in sharing and working on resolving the problem. Even maybe I would say the emotion is the biggest part of the solution, because people really suffered a lot. People I've seen really for working this job 5 years, and people are living on the streets. Some of them, they have families who are homeless, and this is generational homelessness. Generation after generation are living on the street, and it's very hard to change. It's a vicious circle. So I think it's very important to support these people and to listen to them. It will be the main part, the first part of our work, to listen to them. And then identifying their problems, we will help them to identify the right resources, information resources. And for those of them who need legal advice, we will connect them with legal professionals, volunteers who will provide professional legal advice.
Yeah. So by the looks of it, it would be nice to have somebody, or at least a few people who are willing to offer some sort of mental health support, or at least if you have resources, where you can refer them, that will be helpful as well too. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That's good. And so I think it's a good place to start, because usually when you are vulnerable, when you don't have much resources and all of those types of things, people, those demographic usually get the short end of the stick, right? Because I mean, you're a former lawyer, like you know how it goes. Like, it's a business, right? So you have clients, you charge money, all of these types of things. But at the end of the day, not everybody can kind of afford lawyer fees and all of that kind of thing. So what challenges do you do you think you are going to have? Obviously, there will be challenges with this project, right? This is a heavy project, you know.
Yeah,
This is big stuff. I mean, you have, good knowledge and experience to really move it forward, though. Obviously, you cannot do it on your own. It will nice to have that wraparound support here. But what are some of the challenges you kind of thinking, look, I can see this happening, but hey, I'm prepared for this.
yeah. I think we have a lot of we meet a lot of unhappy people who are not satisfied with their lives, who have a lot of problems, and we have to show them our sympathy, our love, our understanding that we are. The purpose is to help them, um, and of course, I expect there will be a lot of questions from different agencies that are interested to see how it's going,
Hmm.
what are our goals. But yeah, the main challenge for me will be how to assure the people that we want to support them in fair, in honest way, in sincere
Honestly.
way. Because as I said, there's a crisis in the trust that really many of these people, uh, for many reasons, they have been treated not fair from different agencies, from different institutions for many years. Of course, some of them here, they're low offenders. Sometimes they did things which are not good, no doubt
Hmm.
about this.
Hmm.
But if we have bigger picture about the problems, about why they're in this situation, and where we see that there are some personal problems, mostly in the childhood, with the family environment, family support. So then actually the offender becomes a victim. And in this way, we'll treat people in very different way. And
Yeah.
also, I think there is growing demographic of the people who can use the services because we want to also to outreach to immigrant communities that have
Hmm.
similar problems. They are not homeless, many of them,
Hmm.
although some of them really have problem to keep the housing.
Hmm.
But there are a lot of people from the immigrant communities who will potentially be interested to use the services. And we have very diverse team of people from different backgrounds. As I said, 3 lawyers from different countries, the 2 from Africa, 1 from South America, which is symptomatic about our approach, how we want to approach people. There is outreach uh, worker from Pakistan. We want to show the diversity of the region in our
Hmm.
team. The
Hmm.
president of Peace for All Canada is from Uganda originally. Our financial director is from China.
Hmm.
I'm from Bulgaria.
Hmm.
Um,
Excellent.
yeah, so we want to have the bigger picture, and not project of our team. This is project of everybody
And
about the
mhm. So is it
betterment
a so
community.
is it a like is it a partnership with an existing nonprofit organization, or this is just like a project? So it's not like a, because it doesn't have to be like a registered, organization per se. It can be just a project. So is it just a project as of now, so to speak?
So this is project run by not-for-profit corporation, Peace for All Canada. Peace for All Canada is the name, with executive director Mr. Aiko Solomon. I'm project lead of the
I
legal
I
project.
I got you. So
Yeah,
so you're kind of working in partnership with them, kind of thing. So it's kind of like they're the umbrella kind of thing, and the project is
yeah,
being run
correct.
under. Okay, awesome, excellent, good
And
stuff.
again, I want to acknowledge, I want
Hmm.
to thank to the Law Foundation of Ontario, which is our donor,
Hmm.
which is really generously appreciated the efforts which we had in the last years, and thanks to them, their financial support, this project will happen.
Awesome. Yes, they're not stupid people. They recognize. Everybody knows. that the homeless people, they suffer a lot in different ways, not only to find stable housing, mental health is a huge issue, so many other things, obviously that legal piece, because, they have so many other things happening, and that in itself, that legal piece can be a challenge, right? Not having the right resources, not having proper support and all of that. Um, I am aware, as you mentioned earlier, and you will know more than I do. If you're not a lawyer, you cannot give advice and so forth. But the reality is, you do have that law background. You have the experience of 20 years. My question to you is, and you don't have to answer this, but I think it's a silly question different ways. But it's an interesting one. Let's say you have to represent yourself, let's say, right, somewhere. Do you not think you have everything it takes to represent yourself, let's say, in the court system here in Ontario? Like if
So
like this is you representing you. So let's say, there's something is happening and whatnot, and instead of taking a lawyer, like, do you not think you have what it takes to represent you here in Ontario? Just you yourself. A
so
situation for you.
there are a lot of information resources which can be used.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, community legal education in Ontario is the main valuable resource which help people to get the basic legal information.
Hmm.
But also there are different other resources. For example, the National Institute for Self-Represented Litigants. The National Institute for Self-Represented Litigants is a very well organized structure which is helping people to prepare themselves how to represent themselves in the court. And
Hmm.
even they have school for self-represented litigants. They can train them, they can help them with the way how to navigate the justice system. Uh, so there are different information resources. The problem is that people often don't know about them.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't know, and they don't have the understanding that they're supported.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So if I'm hearing you correctly, then you can represent yourself in the court system for yourself here in Canada, right? Because you will have good knowledge. You've been a lawyer for 20 years and
So
whatnot. I think it's fair to say, is it fair to say that that's something you can do for yourself, not for nobody else. I'm just saying for you.
for yes, yeah, for myself, I can represent myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but of course, everybody has different story,
Hmm.
and I would consider my personal skills. I would
Hmm.
consider the resources which are available,
Yeah.
uh, and at the same time, I would build up understanding about how to show example to other people who would like to self-represent themselves using the available resources.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that's great. So is there anything else you'd like to add here before we wrap it up? You've given us some really good information. I'm so glad that you took the time to join us. This is just the beginning. Obviously, we'll love to have you back, maybe at the end of your
Yeah.
project to see how things goes, or even halfway through. Who knows what, right? But is there anything else you would like to say before we wrap it up? I do know that I appreciate you joining us, sharing all the resources that you talked about. And for those of you who may have just tuned in, last minute and so forth, I'm joined by Alexander, who is a former lawyer. He has a good 20 years experience. And so apart from him sharing his experience, migrating to Canada and started a new life, he recognized some loopholes and some gaps in the law system here, so to speak. Let me put it that way. And so he basically created, a project where the homeless, he's starting off with the homeless where they can, have, more knowledge, more understanding, as to where they can find specific resources and so forth. As a start, part of the project is also to connect, the homeless, with lawyers and so forth, the ones who are willing to kind of come forward and lend their time and talent and so forth, which is awesome. And so what Alex has done here, he saw a need and he basically didn't put a blind eye to it, but he basically worked extremely hard. I'm aware of that. He met with me, before as well to share, the idea of this project and so forth. I'm so proud of him to really get it to this point. He started this project in September, and he's very much supported. And this is just the beginning for big things. That's my prediction here because it is a need. Is there anything you would like to say here, Alex, while we are here?
Yes, I want to say that in our community there is still stigma about the homeless people, about the homeless population, and we
Mm-hmm.
want to change it. We want to show that these people are not forgotten, they're valued,
Mm-hmm.
they're precious, they're community members like every one of us. They're not losers. Believe me, they are really, I know many of them and they have exceptional talents, exceptional skills, but for different reasons they have really hard life.
Yeah.
And showing support for them in this very specific area will improve the health of our community, will create more safe space for everybody,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and at the same time will prepare uh, more adjustable public services for the people in one very traditional conservative area like the legal services.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's awesome. That stuff. Yeah, I really look forward to it. So keep me in the loop,
Sure.
in terms of how things are going. That's awesome. All right. So my dear fellow listeners and viewers, as we are officially approaching the end of tonight's program, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for tuning in to the Dr. Narine Dat Show. On behalf of myself, and my guest here tonight, very knowledgeable and passionate individual. He cares about people, and that's one of the reasons he's gone this far to put together a project using his 20 years of law experience to help the homeless. Very special, and I want you to know I recognize that. On behalf of myself and Alex, both of us would like to join together and wish you a great day and even better tomorrow. We'll see you again soon.